The model of LoveINC is what's compelling to me because it mobilizes the faith community. It unifies the faith community to, as some would say, get the love thing right. How do we take care of our neighbors who are struggling, who are in need? And to see how that's evolved through the years. I've only been here for 6.5 years, but this chapter, this local affiliate's been here for 18, 19 years. And there was thought in advance of that when some founding fathers, if you will, of this local affiliate, because the LoveINC model has been around for 40, 50 years. And when it was discovered by a handful of community and faith leaders here in Carver County, they wanted to bring it here.
When we started our nonprofit in 2008, one of the projects that we started with was to get donated bikes from the community and to give it back out into the community to people in need. And one of our first partners happened to be LoveINC way back in 2008, and so we've had a good decade and a half history with LoveINC.
I started with LoveINC in my relationship with them many years ago when they were working with our local churches, and I happen to belong to St. John's in Chaska, and they were involved in some of their work. So I got to know Al, who was the director, and got involved a little bit in some of the things that they were doing for the families in our community.
It was so meaningful to see churches unify and be stewards of resources, but also stewards of people's journey, people's story of pain and despair. To go door to door to the churches, which is perceived to be a place of hope. Naturally, we hope for that. But is there a better way to serve those who are struggling together?
When I think of LoveINC, LoveINC does embody deeply service, compassion, and unity. Especially in service, LoveINC comes alongside people where they have a deep felt need, and they draw on often a faith community to walk alongside LoveINC and those people in a way that's extraordinary.
I looked at some of the numbers from as far back as 2007. There were about 100 referrals, and now we're getting over 2,000 phone calls for help. I think our budget back in the day was less than 70,000, and now it's over 500,000 a year. The scope of orchestrating many moving parts to go from 800 volunteer hours to over 12,000 volunteer hours a year.
Volunteering at some of their fundraisers, like they'll do the golf tournament or whatever, and we will send people out to help with that, and we will help with the gala or whatever we can do to help curb some expenses and also get the word out to people in the community about what LoveINC does and what they're capable of doing.
We're a delivery model, and we have volunteers from the faith community go directly to the homes of people who have called and reached out for help to say, hey, you're not alone. We care for you. We're in this thing together. You can see the implications of the scope of what we do based on how many families we serve. We're up to serving 800 households a year. And that's not just one person. That's not 800 people. That's 800 households. So you multiply that by the amount of children that are behind those numbers. And the birthday bag ministry is a great example of what one day took up maybe a couple of buffet tables is now literally taking up a whole hallway, in a building to get it figured out. But that's not just growth. That's compassion continuing to show up. LoveINC's been praying and dreaming about delivering hope further and farther. LoveINC has journeyed through the last 19 years. We've seen us grow from 6 churches serving Eastern Carver County families to now over 30 churches, and we're reaching out to Waconia and now as far out as Norwood, Young America. There's a lot happening in our county, and with LoveINC meeting the needs of that county. I think the county is predicted to grow by 50,000 people by 2040. In the next 20 years, we will see a surge of population here in Carver County. And why not? It's a wonderful place to live. But with people, there's usually needs. And that's why LoveINC is planning to stick around for a long time. But we can't do it without you. We need your help. And as we think about that growth in population and therefore the need that people might have, we're mindful of what God is doing in this community. Oftentimes when Jesus realized what was in front of him with the crowds of people, Scripture talks about that Jesus saw them and he had compassion. At LoveINC, we believe that compassion precedes transformation, that when we meet people with true tenderness and care, great things can happen. Because of how Christ has modeled that for us, we seek to model that to our neighbor. Join us. Be a part of something special. Help us deliver hope further and farther right here in Carver County.